How do you plead to the 5 counts of conspiracy to commit intentional interference with performance of election duties?
Guilty.
And is this guilty plea being freely and voluntarily given with the full knowledge of the charges against you?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Guilty, yes. The very first plea deal in that Georgia RICO case involving Donald Trump and 18 of his co-conspirators has dropped. And that right there is Scott Hall, who is the former Fulton County Republican poll watcher and a bail bondsman. And he had a lot to do with some of the shenanigans that were going down in Georgia, again, in a county that was Republican. But look, who am I to critique the conspiracy? Hall was initially charged with 7 felonies for his connection to a breach of voting systems in Coffee County. In a Friday court appearance before Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee, he pleaded guilty to 5 misdemeanor counts of conspiracy to commit intentional interference with performance of election duties. Hall and others coordinated with GOP officials in Coffee County to improperly access an election computer system to scour evidence for supposed voter fraud. So what does the plea agreement give him? He gets probation for 5 years in exchange for a guilty plea on those misdemeanors. He's also gonna pay $5,000, issue a letter of apology to Georgia voters on very, very cute stationery, serve in cursive, serve 200 hours of community service, and agree to avoid activities related to polling or administering elections. And most importantly, he has agreed to testify honestly and truthfully against his 19 co-defendants and in all other proceedings related to this case. Ruh-roh. However, it's kind of chill. Probation for 5 years, $5,000. I would take that. Ray, we'll get into the legal ramifications, but damn, feels kind of easy for trying to thwart an election. Don't you get more for actually trying to vote twice?
Yeah, and people who believed that they were able to vote in like Florida, where felons were given back the right to vote, and then Ron DeSantis crushed that. People who voted were given more time than that, who believed they had the right to vote. That aside, though, good sign for the prosecution here. He's small fish, right, relative to the grand scale of this attempt to overthrow democracy. This guy is small.
Yeah.
But him accepting a plea deal is probably just going to be the first of many. And so many of these like lesser characters in the Trump cinematic universe, we're gonna see them start to take these plea deals because they don't have Trump's backing. They don't have his support. Yeah. More like the Rudy Giuliani's that we see that are gonna stick by his side for any amount of time for whatever reason there is there. But these people are going to turn on him, and that's only going to help the prosecution as these cases go on. Like, he agreed to testify truthfully against his co-defendants, the co-conspirators in this case. And I don't necessarily know how much this guy knows, right? He must know something for them to even give him this plea deal. But when we see the bigger fish in these cases start to turn, that's when, the prosecution's got it locked down.
Yeah. It's definitely like sort of the food chain or the feeding frenzy of conspiracy. Like, he could finger Sidney Powell, could finger Rudy Giuliani, could finger Trump. You know what I mean? It's all sort of like goes up the food chain there. I'm sorry for using the term finger. And you obviously, with your background in law, now your law degree, right? You a lawyer officially?
No, I haven't taken the bar yet, but I do have a law degree.
There we go, law degree. There we go. Don't even take the bar, whatever. It's like not anyway. But yes, a former federal prosecutor agrees that the plea deal is a good sign for the prosecution. This is according to Niyama Rahmani. She was speaking to the Daily Beast, and she says Willis, Fulton County DA Fani Willis doesn't want to try 19 defendants. She wants 18 guilty pleas and 1 trial against Donald Trump. And then she was saying, like, look, if they all wanted to stick together, that would be better for Trump. So she continued, it's better for all the defendants if they hold the line and refuse to cooperate. But it's better for each individual defendant to plead guilty and get little or no jail time. In fact, the defendants who plead earliest usually get the best deals. That's why Hall got a no time misdemeanor, because he pleaded first and agreed to testify against the others. So exactly, good on Scott Hall being the first one to fold and being like, cool, 200 hours community service, that's a few weekends. I could do that. But right, this is, even though he's a small fish, again, it's just gonna keep on like chomping up and up and up as they all take these deals. And the deals are pretty good. Again, we just said, it looks like a good deal.
Right, and it's definitely gonna be a domino effect here with further plea deals. Will it ever be 18 guilty pleas? No, it's not gonna get to that point. It'd be awesome if it did, but there's gonna be some holdouts. On the other hand, you're gonna see these people, like the lawyers for Donald Trump, who have sacrificed everything in their lives for this, right? And as long as they're not buying into the sunk cost fallacy and are operating under some semblance of self-preservation, they're gonna take the deals because they will lose literally everything that they have. Now, there are some people in here amongst them who I think are true believers. The woman who pretended to be a police officer and threatened an election official. She, I think, is going to be a holdout and is probably a true believer, but most of them aren't, right? Yeah. Most of these people are not true believers, and they're going to act to protect themselves in some way. They're going to take these deals, and we'll see more and more of that coming. The deals will be less good, but we'll see more and more of that coming.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.